All right, everyone, welcome. So glad you're here. Today, for our USU colloquium, we have Dr. Liz Gwyn, a native of North Carolina, graduated from Gardner-Webb University in 2018 with a Doctor of Nursing practice. She authored Amazing Stories of Life After Death in 2012, re-released by Guideposts in 2020. Liz has authored several additional chapters with Guideposts in specialty books. In addition, she has written several articles, including A Divine Encounter,
Is
published
oh,
by
I
the
thought we
Journal
just
of
released
Christian
that.
Nursing, and A Will
Oh,
to
they canceled
Live,
them. Is that what it was?
They're over 30
published
days.
in MTL
Oh, that's what.
magazine.
If it's over 30 days, they usually just go in and release them.
I can't, they're like, I can't find.
Oh, you can't see them either.
Sorry about that, everyone. All right, so let me start over here. Dr. Liz Gwyn, a native of North Carolina, graduated from Gardner-Webb University in 2018 with a Doctor of Nursing practice. She authored Amazing Stories of Life After Death in 2012, re-released Guideposts in 2020. Liz has authored several additional chapters with Guideposts in specialty books. In addition, she has written several articles, including A Divine Encounter, published in the Journal of Christian Nursing, and A Will to Live, published in MTL magazine. Liz has also been a featured guest on Fox News and TCT, along with several other television, internet, and radio venues. Liz, go ahead. We can't wait to hear your topic.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming. I feel very privileged to be invited to come and speak, and I hope that you're excited about our topic, practicing and experiencing positive states, hope. But before I begin, I'd like to note that I have no disclosures or conflicts of interest related to the topic. So welcome, and today we're going to dive into these positive states, and like I said, our focus is hope, which is not just a feeling, but as a skill we can practice, strengthen, and carry with us through life's challenges. So, in the demanding world of education, emotional resilience is as vital as intellectual rigor. So, it enables educators and students alike to navigate through challenges, adapt to change, and thrive under pressure. So, among the positive psychological states that support resilience, hope stands out as a transformative force for health educators and educators alike. Fostering hope isn't just about encouraging optimism, it's about equipping learners with the mindset and the tools to persevere, adapt, and find meaning in their learning and their future work. So, by integrating practices that cultivate hope, we help students and ourselves build foundations for goal setting and compassionate care if we're in healthcare, and whatever the work is in the workplace. So hope becomes a teachable experiential skill that enhances well-being during ever-changing life circumstances, even while one is furthering their education. So educators frequently work with students who are struggling to cope with the demands of adulthood and academic stress, often feeling overwhelmed and discouraged, just the same as us when we went to school. I'm sure all of us have some degrees behind our name. So we know that, we've been there. Educators can also be in the same situations, our family responsibilities, our full-time work, our major life events, all while we're going back to school ourselves. So today our objectives are to discuss hope and the importance of self-assessment and to describe strategic keys to hope. So hope can be understood as a cognitive and emotional stance rooted in belief that the future offers promise, that desired goals are attainable through identified pathways, and that adaptive responses to obstacles are essential. So, unlike passive wishing, hope is proactive and it's solution oriented. For instance, back when I first started school, which is where, well, today the the scheme of students is all age groups. We know that somebody might be coming back for their third degree or their third career change. There's all kinds of scenarios. But back when I first started school, I had one child and I was married, and I was working on my associate degree of nursing. And one child and being married and going to a community college is a lot because we were fairly poor, so I still had to work, some part-time and stuff. But 1 year into the program, I call it accidentally getting pregnant. I don't even know. I was too tired and had too much going on, and certainly didn't have another child in my plans. But I got strep throat during a Christmas break, and I didn't even know what that was. I'd never had strep throat before, but ended up at the ER, and they ended up telling me I was pregnant. Well, I was just devastated because I wanted to finish school, and that hadn't even been in my plans. But as life does, I had to make the big decision. Am I going to stop here? And I was one of those. When I was pregnant, I was sick 24 hours a day, the whole 9 months. It started about month 2 and it stopped as soon as I gave birth. But I never got a break. Every smell made me sick. Everything was horrible. So I already knew it was going to be really difficult to stay in nursing school and do that. But I made the decision that it would be better for me to just stay in school and tough it out, because if I dropped out, it would put me like 2 years behind. And what if? I was only about 21, but I thought, what if I don't ever get to go back? So I did decide to tough it out. I did stay in there, and thank God I ended up passing, and becoming a nurse. But if I hadn't persevered, then who knows? Maybe I wouldn't have even became a nurse. And you may have had to make some of those decisions yourself. And your students are always really making those decisions because major life events are always happening. So for students, many times they hope for things they can't see, just like we do as when we were students, or even now. Might not be students, but hope for things you don't see yet, things that are in the future. And depending on what's going on in the world around them or us, not so distant hopes can seem unattainable and become very distant or unachievable dreams. So as educators, we can remind them, students, that hope is looking ahead to their desired outcomes. We can encourage them to intentionally decide to have hope for that desired outcome or goal. And maybe, again, you yourself have a personal goal that might seem a bit unattainable at the moment. Maybe you're wanting to work on your doctorate. Maybe you've always desired to have a trip to Europe, big trip to Europe, Italy, whatever. And if you don't mind, just put in the chat, is there something out there? Is there something hanging out there that just keeps, I guess, like dangling over your head, that maybe is like gnawing at your mind, that you'd like to do, some goal you'd like to do, but it's just so far out there, you're just not sure how to make it happen. If you have anything, all right, Micah says she's always dreamed of visiting Europe. Finally have the tickets to go to Spain, and oh, that's awesome. Is it a cruise? I went to Europe my first time. I love cruises, but I went on a cruise to Europe for a birthday and my DNP graduation. I gave it to myself, but it was my first time in Spain, Italy, and France. Loved it. You're gonna love it. Get you some euros before you go. Anybody else? Any dreams out there? Thank you. Lived in Hawaii as a child and would like to go back. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah, Linda. I finally made it out on a cruise. I love cruises. To a really great Hawaii tour. Right before the same year that Maui burned. I made it maybe a month before Maui burned. Loved it there. Everywhere. Hawaii's awesome. Okay. Yep. Right, Donna. That's right. So maybe you can take some of these strategies to you and your daughter, right? Where will she go? Exactly. So hope shares similarities with optimism, but it places a stronger emphasis on goal-directed thinking and purposeful action. It functions as a powerful driver, again, a belief system that fuels positive emotions, enhances self-esteem, and deepens our sense of meaning in life, and boosts energy and motivation. So psychologically, hope is considered a trait. While some individuals naturally possess higher levels of hope, and that was not me, I've had to work on it all these years. Hope is not fixed. Everybody doesn't have the same. Importantly, hope is teachable and buildable. So through intentional changes in how we think and act, we can all cultivate greater hope and harness its benefits for personal growth and well-being. What can hope do? Hope counteracts our stress responses. Hope is the quiet strength that steadies us through the stress, that quiet reminder that you just need to stop and take a deep breath. I can get through this. That hope steadies us. It soothes emotional and physical pain. It teaches us to see the light in the dark moments, and we all go through those. And it gently replaces fear with courage, like saying, I can do this. I just have to stay focused. Those kinds of things can help us see through those dark moments. Through hope, we learn optimism, calm anxiety, and silence our harshest self-critic, which is usually ourselves, right? Our self-critic. So strategies like replacing statements like, I can't do this, it just isn't meant for me, with I can do this. I just have to get through this obstacle while doing it, can give us that breath of optimism that's needed to carry us through. So now that we've talked a little bit about hope, let's take a moment to assess ourselves. Got a really neat test here. So this is where we're going to explore our character strengths and hope levels. And that can be a powerful step toward personal growth. And what we're going to do is we're going to do a VIA character strength survey. And it's free, it's easy, and it's research backed. And it only takes 5 to 10 minutes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the link into the chat so that you can go to it. You do have to put your email address and stuff in there. And some of you might get it done quicker, but let's just take a few moments. We'll take about 5 minutes to do this. And once you're done, if you feel comfortable, please share your results with us. So let me see if I can pick this link up. It's probably going to take me to it. This is what it's going to look like. Now I've got to figure out how to get this thing to let me have the link. Do you guys see this page, or do you still see the PowerPoint?
I see just the PowerPoint with the link, but maybe if you copy and paste that link into the chat, we could all follow it.
That's what I'm trying to get it to do. I just wasn't sure what it's showing you guys. All right, try that and see how that goes. And then I've got to get it to let me see the PowerPoint again. I'll wait just a minute.
Taking us to the free survey. Yep.
Great. Okay, yeah. So I'll give you about 5 minutes to do that while I get this to let me go back to the PowerPoint. So we'll do it to about 12:20. And you may think, oh, this goes on forever, but honestly, it will stop. You'll finally get it done. Just a couple more minutes. That might be something new, Micah. If you don't have to, it's up to you, I think. Okay, if you need a little more time. We will say, let's say we'll add on 3 minutes and see how that goes. Curiosity, okay. Huh, great. And Micah, what do you think about it? You can feel free to come off mute. Do you agree?
Actually, I did. It was curious going through the pages of the survey, but yes, I think curiosity is accurate for me. I am curious about anything and everything. I want to know at least a little bit about as much topics as I possibly can know about. When I see headlines or things that I don't understand, I'll immediately go start looking things up, um, because I just want to understand. It says uh, it gave me my top strengths, middle strengths, and my lesser strengths. So for the top ones, it says curiosity, honesty, love, creativity, and social intelligence.
That's amazing.
So I like those a lot.
Yep, yep, they sound like really good traits to have. Very, very great, very strong strengths.
Thank you.
Go together. Awesome. Top strength is creativity. What do you think, Linda? You agree?
Yes, I do. I love all the questions about, new ideas or designing new things or, all that sort of thing. New ways to think about things that was me.
Awesome. Wonderful. Let's see. One more minute and we'll probably have to go ahead and move on, but you can come back and finish this most definitely. But anybody else who finishes, feel free to let us know if you want to. And when I did it, my greatest strength was spirituality, which I agree with that. So what's fascinating is how well it does match you up with, I mean, hardly ever does a person disagree. So what do you think, Donna? Do you agree?
Yes.
Great. You must be get to a point you must be a get to the point person. That's all you got to say about it. All right, so we'll go ahead and move ahead. So please feel free. All right, see, lesser strengths forgiveness. Yeah, like forgetting, I don't know, it's hard for anybody to forget. Yeah, right. But that's good. That's a strength. That's a character strength. Most of us have to learn, right, Micah? Is moving on. Forgiving is one thing, but sometimes you have to turn away from, I guess, some of the ways I've heard it said is toxic people, and you just have to move on. And that is a strength for a person who can do that. So never think that's a weakness, because it's not. I think the weakness is when people continue with the same habits, whether it's their social life or whatever, that with people that bring them down. So it's a stronger person that understands I have to move on from this. So I did want to show you that also here in the VIA Institute, if you are interested in doing research, at any point, like maybe you don't have your doctorate yet and you want to do that, or you've got friends who want to go back for their doctorate and they don't know what topic they want to do, you can come here and you can click on questionnaires for researchers. I did put it's there though, but I'll put that in here. I think it's going to take you to it, but you just scroll down to questionnaires for researchers and you see all of these topics for all of these really nice questionnaires and inventories that are already existing there. So just in case you're interested in that, I did want to put that in there for you. And I think you probably could they're just neat. I like the subjective happiness scale. There's just so many things. Inspiration scale, lots of good stuff. Adult hope scale. So if I make PowerPoint move forward. So individuals with higher levels of hope tend to be more proactive and informed when it comes to their health. We're talking about health as a topic of hope right now. So they're more likely to read and retain and apply the benefits of hope. They're more likely to read, retain, and apply health-related information, which supports better decision-making. Their hopeful outlook also motivates them to engage in preventive behaviors, such as regular exercise, routine checkups, healthy lifestyle choices. And when faced with health challenges or chronic conditions, people with higher levels of hope typically adjust more effectively, demonstrating resilience and greater capacity to manage their well-being. So I want to tell you a story. When I was working on my master's, we had a doctor come in to teach one of the pathophysiology courses, sessions one day. He didn't teach the whole course. And he told us a story that really stuck with me. It's how I live anyway, but I loved the way that he framed it. He told us a story of, if you have a lion and you have a giraffe out in the where they live, I guess Africa, I don't know. But if you have a lion and a giraffe, and the lion starts to pursue the giraffe, and you know how tall a giraffe is, and we just have this God-given intuition when something's up. Most of the time we pick up on it, but we might dismiss it. But the giraffe doesn't dismiss it. Picks up on the fact something is about to pursue it. And so it's instant reaction to that stress response. You got the flight or fight. Well, the giraffe, of course, their response is going to be to flight. So they start running as fast as they can. They can run up to 35 miles an hour. And then if they do get cornered, they can even do a whole bunch of kicking to try to help themselves. But what this doctor was saying was that we as human beings, when we get stressed out, it's the habits that we form that makes the difference. And it's the habits that we form that that can help us have more positive physical outcomes when we're in times of stress or major life challenges. So one of the things that can help us is like what the giraffe did. The giraffe picked up on the fact that danger was around, and we are born with this, but we most of the time ignore it. And so the giraffe starts running. So it starts running off its stress, right? It starts doing a healthy thing to burn off its stress. So I just wanted to point out that exercising is one of the things that can make a big difference in our health. Like if you're stressed, getting out and taking a couple of mile walk, you'd be amazed that with the halfway into the walk, how much different you think, how much better you feel. So let your body guide you in these times. When you feel like there's no hope for a situation or you're about to give up, then listen to your body's response. Don't watch TV, don't sit down, don't give up, don't take a nap, but go take a 1 hour walk. You will be surprised how that clears your mind and how it changes how you respond to what's going on in your life. And you'll be surprised at how you get some new ideas doing that too. It's the way I've always lived. I've always had this natural ability to, when I got stressed out, even before I knew about all this, I was a teenager. I just felt this need to go jog. And that's what I would do. And that would help me so much. But then I realized later on in life that it's just a God given ability. And I'm thankful for it because I still do the same thing. I exercise every day. And it makes a difference, a huge difference in my life. So some of the psychological benefits of hope are, individuals who cultivate hope and positive outlook tend to experience more uplifting moods and constructive thoughts. They often feel energized and inspired in their daily lives with a stronger sense of self-esteem and personal worth. This mindset makes them less vulnerable to depression and persistent negative emotions. And when stress arises, they're more likely to cope effectively using adaptive strategies like the giraffe story that we just talked about. Rather than avoiding the challenges, they face them head on. And when setbacks occur, they're less likely to fall into the disabling thought patterns such as catastrophizing and ruminating, just going over and over. I'm bad for that. Something goes on, a kink in my day or whatever, it just goes over and over and over in my mind. And again, one of the things that stops it, and I will for the first 30 minutes still just be plagued with it. But I thought when I go exercise, after that first 30 minutes, it starts going away. It's fascinating how that works. So importantly, people who are more hopeful demonstrate flexibility. They'll adjust or redefine goals when necessary, and while continuing to move forward with their purpose and resilience. Individuals with lower levels of hope often face increased feelings of loneliness, and they may struggle to build deep, meaningful relationships. In contrast, hopeful people tend to report stronger social support networks, greater empathy toward others, and higher confidence in navigating their social situations. Optimists in long-term romantic relationships also demonstrate more effective coping strategies when dealing with the everyday stressors and negative events, and they're going to occur, in an intimate relationship. And hope plays a vital role in embracing communication, especially during emotionally charged or challenging moments, by fostering openness, resilience, and mutual understanding. Having goals and believing in a positive, self-directed future are deeply connected to both hope and a sense of meaning in life. When individuals envision a future they can shape, they're more likely to find purpose and maintain hope, even in the face of challenges. It begins with a conviction that growth is possible and that the future holds promise when we commit to it. And we can teach our students these strategies also. So we can't talk about hope without also talking about its shadow, which is pessimism. And understanding how it works and how to challenge it is key to building real resilient hope. So pessimism involves expecting negative outcomes and interpreting setbacks as personal, like it's my fault, I deserve it. Permanent, this is never going to change. Pervasive, pessimists feel less in control of their future. They experience more anxiety and self-criticism. They struggle to generate pathways toward goals. And this mindset can suppress hope by undermining the belief in one's own ability to influence outcomes in their lives, our lives. So to counteract pessimism, we can reframe each belief. Like, here's some examples. The pessimistic view says this is going to last forever. The optimistic view is this is only temporary. I have gotten through worse. And many of us can say that. Pessimism is this just ruins everything. But optimism says this just relates to this part of my life, just one part of my life, not the total of my life. Pessimism says it's all my fault. But optimism says I may have played a part, but not all of it is my responsibility. Not all of it's my fault. So it helps you think through what part belongs to me, what part does not. And that helps you figure out how to respond to it. And then pessimism says there's nothing I can do. But optimism or positivity, hope, says I can take small steps to improve my situation. And so if you're okay with it, is there a situation that you want to enter into the chat that you're currently facing where you can apply some of these strategies? Have you heard yourself saying this, thinking this? Anybody feel comfortable putting that in the chat? Maybe it's your teenage son or daughter that's doing it and you're trying to reframe their thinking. Maybe it's a student that you've recently talked to. Anybody feel comfortable sharing?
I'll share. I think we all talk to students about their barriers and obstacles to success. And I like to frame it like that instead of calling it a failure. They just have a bump in the road. Often they need to be reminded that, hey, in our program, we're really fortunate that we're on accelerated 8-week sessions. If you are unable to pass a course successfully the first time, it's just an 8-week bump. And yes, it's, at the time, it can feel like the end of the world and it can feel very discouraging, but 8 weeks is nothing in the big, grand scheme of things. And just trying to give them that hope that, hey, you just need to take this again and it will get better. And yes, it's not fun, but trying to help them think of it as, hey, it's not as bad as it could be. And other programs, they have traditional semesters. If someone were to fail a course, it's 16 weeks. It's a lot longer that they have to wait, and sometimes longer if they fail a course in a traditional university, brick and mortar. Let's say they don't pass the second term, they have to wait for the summer and then the fall and then the second term again at some places. So I think that trying to frame the positives and, hey, we can get you right back in, and trying to help students see that is helpful.
Exactly. That's exactly right. The hope that this is quicker. And I do like that. I mean, that you talk with your students that way and reframe their thinking. Like, it really is just a bump in the road, especially compared to traditional models. Let's see. So let's see. Jessica says, as we're winding down to the end of the summer, my kids have had some increasingly bad behaviors where I had to pull the plug on an activity that everyone was looking forward to because they're fighting, not listening, etc. It can be a bummer looking forward to the first day. Yeah, for sure. I know. There's some challenges, huh, Jessica? Calls for hope. School's going to start soon. Absolutely. That's right, Micah. I think everybody goes through that. You are not alone. Completely not alone.
I'll share. I'm in that stage of life where everything is coming at you at once. aging parents. I still have an aging grandmother, who's 94, and I try to help my mom with her, but my mom's also getting older. And I'm a mom, and I have a career, and I'm a wife, and I'm going back to school. And some days I'm just like, I can do this. I can, and I have support, and I have all the faculty here, and my family. But some days you're just like, you really do have to try to look at it from the right scope, the right lenses, because otherwise, uh, yeah, it could be a lot. And I can't wait for school to start.
So you have time for the school yourself you got to do. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Oh, I know.
Well,
We've all been there.
one thing I can share for everyone, but as Adina, based on what you're saying, one of the things that worked for me as I had 4 teenagers while I was in my master's program and dealing with all their excitement and their angst, I always put myself or gave myself mini goals. So instead of looking at the whole picture, and that's, the last comment in the previous slide was, just getting small goals in terms of what's going on. So instead of looking at, oh my gosh, I have all these classes I need to take until I'm able to graduate, it's like, let's just focus on this one class or maybe this one week in this class and, get that done. And then I can say, this is something I've accomplished, and just work your way through it that way. And I think that makes a big difference in helping you be optimistic and, sort of fostering that hope for you.
Yeah, just taking it like literally one day at a time.
Yes, and you'll get there.
Yes, I'm certain.
Categorizing. That's right. Well, you do have a lot of support here. I can hear that. Most definitely. But I know how you feel. I feel like I've been in school my whole life, and every time, every degree I went back to get was hard, and there was always a major life event, like my mom dying, or it was always something. But I had to step back and say, I'm just going to finish this now because it's only going to set me back if I don't. And that's the way you just talk yourself through it, one experience at a time, right? One challenge at a time, because they're going to come. But then when you're done and you get your degrees, it's like, feels so good to get back to your normal life. But you've grown when you do because you made your accomplishments. Amazing. So great discussion. Thanks to everyone who contributed. So let's talk about some fuel for hope. Optimism is the general expectation that good things will happen. And yes, Adriana, good things are getting ready to happen. You're going to graduate. It's going to happen. And your kids will go back to school, give you a little more time. So it's looking forward and often tying confidence in with your outcomes. So optimists tend to view challenges as temporary and solvable, and they are when you're in school, when our students are in school. All this is temporary. It is solvable. They will succeed. They just gotta stay with it. And optimists maintain higher self-esteem and motivation. They experience better physical and mental health. Hope builds on optimism, but it adds agency, which is the belief in one's ability to act, and pathways, strategies to reach goals. It's not just expecting good things, it's planning how to make them happen. So when we talk about adding agency and hope, we're talking about empowering individuals to feel capable and energized to pursue their goals, not just to dream about them, but to pursue them. Okay. So I got to move everything back over so I can see you again. Bear with me. So individuals with a pessimistic outlook aren't excluded from hope. In fact, hope can intentionally be developed through cognitive strategies like learned optimism, resilience training, and goal setting. And crucially, hope isn't about ignoring reality, it's about engaging in it constructively. So the reality might be feeling overload, major life events have happened, car broke down, your spouse got a job in another state and it's a sudden move. That's happened to me too. And you got to regroup. you can do it. Hang on for the ride. You can do it. So, and hope is not blind optimism. It's realistic and grounded. It doesn't deny the challenges that we face. Instead, it helps us manage our thoughts to believe that change is possible. And real hope recognizes the role of personal control and effort, and it encourages us to use our strengths and improve our situation. So you all got to, look at some of your strengths, which you agree with. Flexibility is a key. Resilient coping requires adapting, adjusting, and staying open to new paths forward. So I want to give you some application exercises. Let me check the time. I know we have a limited amount of time, but I think we're about on target with this then. So application exercise 1. So we're not going to take a whole 15 minutes, but you can do this from time to time. We got a few seconds, but feel free to come off mute, talk about it, or put it in the chat. But from time to time in your life, say, I don't know, maybe every 3 months, take 15 minutes to imagine your life in the future. What is the best possible life you can imagine? Focus on the future, not whether your current life aligns up with it. And think about the details that would make this future for you, this future you envision to be possible. So I just want to take 30 seconds to let you just write that down. I know you don't have 15, but imagine your life in the future. So let's just take it out into, let's say 5 years from now. Imagine yourself 5 years from now. Write a quick note of what your best possible life that you can imagine in 5 years would be. And then put just a few little details there of how that you could make this future happen. Well, great, Micah. I see your comment there. So what this activity does anybody feel like sharing it? 5 years from now, how you envision your future? This activity makes you more positive. It makes you more happy, and it lowers stress. It's kind of like a Calgon Take Me Away experience. But what it does is it encourages optimism in your life, and it gives you feelings of control, like I can control my life. It builds your self-esteem, and it helps you with long-term planning. So it builds hope, right? So it does make the life goals seem more attainable or attainable. But writing it out is very positive and powerful. It's not just daydreaming. It broadens our perceptions of what is possible, and the storytelling of it gives us a clear narrative of how we're going to make it happen. So we got one more activity. So write these down. Think of 5 things that could make your life good. Just write them down. Think of 5 things, and you can do this a couple times a week to build hope. But think of 5 things that could make your life good, enjoyable, enriching, and worthwhile at this moment. 5 things that could set a positive tone. Anybody want to share? Okay, so we're going to move to then think of something recently that didn't go your way. When you were frustrated, irritated, or upset, and describe the situation in a few sentences. Then list 3 things that can help you see the bright side of that situation. So we'll just take a few seconds here, but think of something recently that didn't go your way. When you were frustrated, irritated, or upset, describe that situation in a few sentences. This is actually therapeutic too. And then write down 3 things that could help you see the bright side of that situation. Micah, whatever works. Absolutely. Hope I'm saying your name right. Oh yeah, no, that's fun. That is stress relief. That is yep, that definitely counts. Definitely counts. We're dancers in my house, not my husband, but me and my daughters and all my mean babies. We're all dancers. We get up and just have fun, and that just changes everything. Did anybody want to share anything about when you thought of something recently that didn't go your way? The 3 positive things that could brighten it. Could have just happened to you this morning. We all know that, right? All right, so I want to tell you the story about a man, and this is a true story. It's a man who was on his deathbed, and they asked him what his final thoughts were. Was there anything that they wanted he wanted somebody to know or wanted done, because he was actively passing away. And what this man said was that what he wished he had done different in his life was that the thing was during his life, he'd spent a lot of time worrying about things in life that never happened. Think about that. You may not be a person who does that, but think about that. Worrying about things in life that never actually happened. That's the time he wished that he could have back. He spent a lot of time worrying about things in life that never happened. Apparently, it was a lot of time, and he wished he could have that time back. So, a lot of how we think comes from what we picked up in our childhood, our personalities, and the mental habits that we've built over time. But here's the thing, they're not set in stone. So, we can learn new ways of thinking. We can change the story. And here's the amazing thing, your brain can change. Hopefully you've heard of neuroplasticity, and that means that with practice, you can train your mind to see the world as less threatening and more hopeful. It's like building a mental muscle. Every time you choose a positive perspective, you're rewiring your brain to make that your default. And I am going to define neuroplasticity for anybody who hasn't heard of that. But it's the brain's remarkable ability to change, adapt, and reorganize itself throughout life, even from childhood traumas into adulthood. It's the amazing ability for the body, the brain to do that. So one last thing to think about as we tie up the presentation is that we can anticipate challenges, right? It's a given. It's just going to happen. But whoop is a science-based goal-setting method that was developed by Dr. Gabrielle Odejanin, probably not saying that right, and maybe this is new to you. It's pretty neat. What it does is it combines mental contrasting, thinking about both the desired future and the obstacles, with implementation intentions, the if-then planning. It helps people stay motivated, overcome setbacks, and take action toward their goals. So there is a Whoop app if you're interested in it. I know a lot of people like apps, but for instance, the W in this acronym means wish. So it means identify a meaningful, challenging, and achievable goal that you truly care about. The first O is outcome, visualizing the best possible result of achieving that wish and how that would feel. And so you'd write these things down. The next O is obstacle. Recognize the internal obstacle that might prevent you from reaching your goal. And there may be more than one. And then the P, planning. Create an if-then plan to overcome that obstacle. So, not that I had even considered it, but if I get pregnant, then what will I do to meet my goal? If my mom dies while I'm working on my master's degree, then what will I do to continue to meet my goal? And I was working on my doctorate. I don't remember a major life event working on my doctorate. I just remember no degree ever made me cry because I'm not a crier. But no degree ever made me cry, and no degree ever stressed me as much as that, except, you know, the ADM program, that's a big deal. But I didn't cry. It was just highly stressful. But the doctorate was just different. The pressure was different. And so that made me feel like I'm not going to make it. I never felt smart enough to get a doctorate. I never felt like I was the top pick of the team ever, and I never have been. Most of the time when I was in high school, I never got picked for the team because I was so bad at all sports. And I found that that has actually carried into my adulthood. I still don't get picked for teams, but, you know, thank God that did not frame the outcome of my life. I did finish the doctorate, and I was very happy with all of that. I loved that school. And, you know, we can do it. We can do it. We can create the if then plan to overcome obstacles. So if you are still childbearing age, it could happen to you. You could get pregnant while working out. Well, then if so, what will you do? Will you continue to persevere, or what is your if then plan? So that's pretty much what we have for today. So any thoughts or questions before we wrap up? And thank you so much for coming today. And I think Linda's going to tell you a little bit about how the CUs are going to come. But any questions, any thoughts before we wrap up? You're welcome, Marika. Thank you for coming.
Yes, this was great. Thank you so much, Dr. Gwyn. I really appreciate it. Yes, the CEUs will be sent out via email tomorrow. I also have just placed in the chat the link to the USU YouTube website for these colloquium presentations. Recordings go on there, so if there's any presentation, or if you'd like to watch this presentation again, Dr. Frederick will be making this available on our YouTube page so that you can review it again. Only people that attend live sessions will get the CEUs, and I make sure that those get out to everyone. Like I said, within the next couple days, you'll get that. But please subscribe to our USU page and take a look at the various presentations, the great presentations that are there.
Thank you all. Thank you so much for your time today. And I hope this information was really helpful. And again, it just gives you something meaningful to reflect on in your life. All right. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you. Take care. Have a great day, everyone.
All right. Bye.